Hi, Stamper fans. Welcome to another Make It Monday. Thanks so much for joining me, whether you're catching me live on Facebook or if you're watching the replay on YouTube. I'm so glad that you're here. I'm Nan Gerlitz, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Bloomington, Illinois, and I am here to help you connect with your people, whether that's gathering to craft together or you making handmade items to share with them. It's all about making and deepening those connections. So let's get to it. There we go. All right, first up, as always, is Friday night Stampin' results, and it was me, yay, with my thanks card. So this is with the Everyday Arches set. I actually did use the stamp set as well for the thanks, but most of it was just those gorgeous arches. And then I pulled in the sailing dies again for those clouds because it just needed something. So that was fun. And I do want to point out, first of all, the Stamper Man used glimmer paper, which any of you that know him know that he does not go anywhere near glitter. So he pulled that out and used it. So I thought that was awesome. But this whole card is made with products that are going to be available in September. So as demonstrators, we'll get to pre-order them week after next, beginning of August. So that's just one of the nice perks of being a demonstrator is we get to get things early. So that's a teaser for you for the next mini catalog. All righty, so here we go. And one announcement I have for you that we just found out today. We've got free shipping this week on any order of $75 or more in the US. From July 23rd to the 25th, which is Wednesday through Friday. So you need to start and close the order on those days. Anytime before like midnight Friday night, you're good. And yeah, so it's a fabulous offer. I mean, that's 11% savings right there. So pretty awesome. This is Technique Week, and we are doing Emboss Resist today. So hello, Penny. Yeah, we are doing Embossed Resist. So I have a couple of things to show you. We're going to make this card together, and then I've got some other items to show you to kind of show you some differences that you can do with it. So let's get started on that. Let's see. First, we are going to die cut our circles because I don't want to die cut them after I emboss it. I don't want to smush the embossing at all. So I'm using basic beige instead of white tonight because I thought that was kind of a cool choice. And then I went to my color wheel to figure out what would go with freesia, and the mossy meadow came up, and I really liked the way that came out. So let's get our big boss. The supply list, as always, is in the video description, so you can see everything that I use to make this card. We are using the Spotlight on Nature bundle. I actually had it with a different flower, and then I realized the bundle's still available, and you should totally always take advantage of a bundle when it's there, because the bundles go away like after the first full catalog that they're in, and you save 10% when you buy the stamps and dies together as a bundle. So always a good idea. And I think there are some bundles that are actually on our last chance list right now too, our last chance products. And some of those are even better savings if you buy them separately because some of them are on sale. So it's always a good idea to check it out. Do a little calculator in. All right. So we've got our two circles. Absolutely love these dies. They go with just everything. I don't only use them with this set, obviously, because they're not meant to cut out images from the set. They're meant to enhance everything. While we've got this out, let's go ahead and emboss our basic beige layer as well. For that, I pulled out the dotted circles embossing folder, another one of my faves. And let me get this out of the way for just a second because I want to show you. So I started with this trying to kind of center those main, circle of dots. And then I thought, well, I didn't really want everything just centered. So what happened was if I lined up my basic beige with that line by the logo, then now my center circle is kind of upper left. And I thought that was nice. So I'm not OCD. I'm not really. I have some persnickety tendencies. All right. Now we are all done with our big box tonight. So obviously with the circles, you could probably do most of those, the die cut circles, with our mini boss, our mini stamp and cut and emboss machine. But with the big embossing folder, you definitely have to have the big machine for that. So, oh, the new oversized embossing folders, I love them. But yeah, they do, because it's not just the size of your card front, right? And I think the reason that they came out with the oversized ones is so that people that make more than just cards could obviously do some things with those as well. And they're not just limited to a card size kind of embossing, which is nice. Oh, I've got such a mess. Gives me anxiety, you guys. I have to put things away. Okay. All right, so we've got our pieces all good. We're starting with a fresh freesia base. And I actually was going a little bit darker to start with, but opted for the freesia, and I'm really glad I did. It's not all about you. I know, right? What's that all about? It's not all about me either, but there's plenty for us as well. So if you prefer the regular, just card front size embossing folders, we have plenty of those as well. I do like the other ones too, though, because if you want to do like on the plaid, if you wanted to do it on a diagonal or something, you've got room to do that. Whereas if it was only a card front size, you really couldn't do that. So it gives you some options if you think about it. You just need to get used to it, probably, just like anything that's a change. Okay, so let's make some magic happen, because embossing, heat embossing, is all about magic anyway. And we are using tonight the clear embossing powder. So this comes in I think it's the basic set. So it has black and white and clear, which is fabulous. And then we also have a metallic set that has silver and gold and copper. So you're set for everything if you just get both of those sets of embossing powders, right? And so then you need your Versamark pad. So Versamark is for those of you not familiar, it is a watermark ink. So if you were to, let me just stamp on the back of my Mossy Meadow. I grab my flower stamp. Now, obviously, with these smaller circles, I am not going to use this whole stamp. I'm really just going to focus on this flower. So here's a nice little tip too. We're not going to see the back of this, so it's fine that I'm doing this. If you see, it just makes a watermark, just a darker Mossy Meadow image. There's no color to it. It just makes it a little deeper, darker, right? So if you could imagine doing that all over the background of a card or a box or scrapbook page, anything like that, you'd get this nice, subtle, all over pattern. So you don't have to emboss with Versamark, but because it stays a little wet, a little sticky kind of, then you can emboss with it because it'll hang on to the powder. So let's ink up that big flower again. And we're going to stamp it in the middle of this basic beige circle. And then I have super fancy tools. I have my folded sheet of copy paper. I actually used to keep all my embossing powders in like little square containers, like sandwich container kind of things. And I probably still will do that. I just haven't done it with the newer ones. So you just want to, just like when you were doing in kindergarten with glitter and glue, You just pop it on there and then you can kind of see, it's hard to catch on camera. There we go. But the powder is just sticking to where the stamp was. So I can set that aside for a moment, being very careful not to touch it because it's very easy at this point to knock the powder off of the image. So, but I don't want to heat all this excess powder accidentally. I'm just going to funnel that back into my container. That's another nice thing about heat embossing is this little container of embossing powder will last you a long time. You can do a whole lot of embossing with it. Okay. Now I recommend you have a tool like your bone folder, something that you can kind of hold the piece in place with so your hands aren't there because this is going to get really hot. So you're going to turn on your heat tool. And I like to just let it heat up for a moment. And then you're going to go right onto there. And I think I'm a little too far away, unfortunately, but I'll show you when I'm done. You just want to heat the powder until it is glossy and raised. And there you go. So you can see, yeah, it's catching the shine. So it's all glossy and raised. And that's really super pretty, just like that. Hi, Joan. How are you? Thanks for joining us. We are doing a little emboss resist tonight. And so I just heat embossed that flower on there. Okay. And now for the magic part, I'm going to take my fresh freesia pad. This is just one way you can do it. And I'm just going to go directly onto this circle and swipe it. And I'm just going to keep kind of changing directions so I get some good coverage all over. Because obviously I have to hold it somewhere, right? And then you just want to take a tissue, a paper towel, something like that, and you want to buff off any of the excess ink that is on the embossed part. And there you go. Now you can see the cardstock underneath, but it just looks like this really cool lighter flower on a deeper color, right? So there is one example of your emboss resist. While we've got our ink pad out, we might as well do our greeting too. So I think we wanted to, we went with dear friend, because I always love to have a friend card. It's nice to have something that you can just send for no reason at all. You don't have to have a thanks or a, whatever, right? It's just dear friend. So as always, since I can't see through this stamp, I'm lining my block up with my grid paper, and then I'm trying to line my stamp up as best as I can with one of the grids underneath. I'll ink that up with fresh freesia. And so we're doing a lot of tone on tone tonight. Just a freesia on freesia. So also, here's another tip for all of you. Like if you live like where we live, right, in Illinois, if you have earwigs and you keep your chamois in one of these containers, be very careful when you open it, because last week when I opened this, an earwig came crawling out. Ew. So it's one of those reasons why you want to dry those out occasionally. You might want to throw them in the wash or at least rinse them out in the sink, which I immediately did because I was like, gross. So there we go there. All righty. And now it is assembly time. I have my liquid glue. So yeah, I'm very excited. I almost placed an order like over the weekend because I have some Stampin' Rewards to use. And I thought, I'll do that. And then today I got the email that we have free shipping this week. So even now, I will say I'm going to probably use my rewards, but my rewards are going to decrease my level. So I need to get to $75 like after my rewards, right? So, oh my gosh. No spiders. That is not cool. That is the one bad thing about having your studio in the basement. There is definite chance of spiders down here. So our son lives with us right now, and last week apparently he went into, I don't know if he was brushing his teeth or what, but he turned his faucet on in his bathroom, and he said the biggest spider he ever saw in his life jumped out of the drain and like landed on the faucet and like put its front legs up, and it was in full attack mode. And I still have the heebie-jeebies from this story, and I was not even around. He like launched himself backwards into the tub, started yelling, and Russ was like, "Everything okay up there?" So yeah, so he hit the darn thing with the hairspray and then flushed it down the drain. So resourceful, I'll give him that. Too funny. All right. Oh, I don't know where my regular dimensionals are, so we will use some minis. I think the Stamper Man was using them. I wonder if they're over on his side of the island. But minis work just as well. I need more dimensionals because I was down in my last sheet. So that'll definitely be going on that free shipping order, let me tell you. Yeah, I am not a fan of spiders either. I am definitely a let's just burn the house down kind of vibe on that. And then this is super nice that you can just get that right in with all those circles, right? With all the dots. Just centers beautifully. I need one more dimensional for the end of my greeting, because it's going to hang off the edge and I need it to be the same level as this guy, right? And then we'll just put a little liquid glue on that side to hold it down. And there we are. Super fabulous. That is a very bright light tonight for some reason. I wonder if I can lower that. If I can see this. So there we go. A little bit better. Yes, I really love this card. I loved how it turned out. I loved the colors that came about. So now let me show you what happened, because originally I was going to do several different kinds of emboss resist, like ways to put the ink on. And I thought, oh, I wonder how blends would work, right? So this is what happened when I did it with blends. Basically, the blends colored the embossing as well. So it is still visible. It is a much softer look because it's not quite as much of a contrast, right? So just so you know, the alcohol kind of clings to that embossing powder as well, the heated embossing powder. But I do have one other one that I used blending brushes for. And so I heat embossed our fun sailboat. This one's on white. So just clear embossing powder again. And then I just did a cool kind of sea into a sunset vibe with my blending brushes. So there's a lot of different kinds of looks you can get. And also you'll notice that this stamp has bolder lines, so thicker, so it shows up more definitively. And this one has a lot of very delicate, detailed lines. So that's going to give you kind of a different vibe as well. So just so you're aware when you're picking things out, kind of what vibe you're going for or what method you're going to use to apply the ink. You can use the sponge daubers, you can use our blending brushes, you can do just the direct pad to paper like I did tonight, which is super fast, as you could tell. So yeah, if you're just doing a one color, that's a great way to do it. And you don't need any special tools. You just need your ink pad. So works great. All right, let me pop up here and chat with y'all for just a second. Hello. So the supply list, as I mentioned, is in the video description, and I will have the supply list for the sailboat card as well as measurements for both in this week's email newsletter. So if you have not signed up for my newsletter yet, That link is also in the description, so you can hop on board and get that every week. Comes out once a week. It makes sure you're on top of all the sales and goings on at Stampin' Up, along with measurements and everything for each of my lives, and any other news and fun little tidbits. Oh, plus every week I give you a new color combo to try and a sketch to try. So lots of good info on there. All righty. Well, that is all I have for tonight. Next week is Funfold Week. I already have a plan, so you'll want to tune in to make sure you catch that. Thanks so much for joining me. Here's your reminder that if you got any new tips or inspiration, go ahead and share the video or tag your bestie in the comments so they can get a little bit of learning too. All right. Till next week, I'm still Nan Gerlitz. Happy stamping.